Germany, 1988. It was the middle of the night, and the American Air Force Base stationed in Morbach was mostly asleep. Suddenly, all hell broke loose. Alarms screamed, sirens blared, and soldiers scrambled to their posts because something breached their defenses. But what something? Terrified Air Force personnel reported seeing a huge, shadowy figure swooping through the darkness. Its eyes burned with an eerie, otherworldly light. Those who caught a glimpse of it swore it was no ordinary animal. It moved with a fluid, almost human-like grace, its form shifting and blurring as if it wasn't entirely of this world. Was this the Morbach monster, a creature spawned from a centuries-old local legend? I'm John Genoa, and in this episode of America's Strangest History World Edition, we're looking at the German legend of a werewolf that's been roaming the area of Morbach for hundreds of years. One that was seen by US soldiers, and another that was apparently shot and killed. The Morbach ammunition storage site was set between the Hunsrück Mountains and the Mosel Valley. From 1955 to 1995, it was the largest US Air Force ammunition depot in all of Europe. Every night, a security detail patrolled the fence perimeter. There were never any issues of significance other than the occasional encounter with local curious teenagers or a wild boar caught up in the fence. But now an alarm was sounded and the Air Force Base mobilized. The military sprang into action. Teams were deployed to track and neutralize the invader. But no matter how hard these trained soldiers tried to track it down, it inexplicably eluded capture. Did it vanish into thin air? No, not yet anyway. It was standing by the fence. The airmen would soon learn that they were dealing with something that was far beyond their understanding. For the first second or so, they thought they spotted a deer or a coyote. But then the creature whirled around, snarling, and incredibly reared up on its hind legs. The soldiers were staring into the eyes of a huge wolf-like creature. Before they could even react, the beast took a leap. It cleared the fence, then disappeared into the forest, moving on all fours. Reinforcements quickly arrived with tracker dogs, but upon catching the scent, the dogs refused to continue. They were terrified, and so the search kind of ended before it even really began. What did they see? A year later, a man who claimed to be one of the security patrol went public with his story. He confirmed the story as an accurate description of the events and added that the creature they encountered was definitely wolf-like. He said it was around 7 to 8 feet tall. It jumped a 12-foot security fence with just 3 long, leaping steps. The whole thing was written off as a wild animal attack, but those who saw the beast felt it was something much different, something that defied explanation. So what's the legend of the Morbach monster? Let's go back in time to 1806. The Napoleonic Wars were raging, and a French soldier, Thomas Johannes Baptiste Schweitzer, deserted his unit. Together with some Russian turncoats, he was trying to get back home to Alsace, France. When they got to a town in Germany called Wittlich, they raided a farm for food, killing the farmer and his sons. Legend goes that the farmer's wife cursed them that they'd become werewolves shortly before they killed her too. As time passed, stories started to spread about a creature that walked upright under a full moon. It tore livestock apart and butchered men and women in the night. It apparently even raped a young woman. The villagers banded together and tracked the werewolf down to its lair, a forest near the village of Morbach. Using fire and silver, they brought the beast down and ended its reign of terror. To ensure the Morbach monster would never rise again, the villagers drove a stake through its heart and decapitated the body. They put a small shrine over the grave and lit a candle to prevent the creature from ever returning. But candles can be a bit tricky. It's said that in 1988, Air Force personnel came across the werewolf shrine on their way back from drinking. They said the candle was out. The burning question: how true is this? One person who claimed to be chief of flight security at Hahn Air Base said that a couple of long-timers who'd been there since about 1982 swore that they saw the werewolf. A security policeman who lived there from 1989 to 1991 insisted that people on the base absolutely believed the tale. A third said that they nicknamed the monster Momo. He added that it could have been a large dog. He also noted many times they'd hear movements deep in the woods, along with a loud yowling. There was even another occasion on which 2 different military police claimed to have seen a strange animal in the undergrowth near the fence. They described it as very furry and between 2 and 4 feet high. One airman stationed at Han claims to have been stalked while walking his dogs by an unseen beast that let out a wolf-like howl. Another ex-Han serviceman offers a more down-to-earth explanation. He said, "If you've never seen a German wild boar, they look like a 4-foot-tall Brazil nut with tusks and legs. They're dark brown and stinky and hairy and big, and could easily be mistaken for some sort of supernatural beast." But even this contradiction was contradicted by another ex-serviceman who was adamant that there weren't any wild hogs in the area, having grown up on a farm with hogs. Many online posts are obviously the work of fantasists, but one thing is clear. Whether or not there was a werewolf running around the Hunsrück Mountains, the US service personnel working there certainly heard the tale. As it turns out, researchers do think Thomas Schweitzer was a real person, a real French soldier turned heinous criminal that passed into legend. The legend of the Morbach monster changed one long-held belief in stories about werewolves. You see, until then, in all the legends, werewolves were able to change form at will. This was the first time a story included the trope of only transforming under a full moon, something Hollywood ultimately ran with, something we now think of as werewolf canon. I'm John Genoa. This is America's Strangest History. Make sure your doors are locked. See you again soon.